Welcome to Sweeping the Country. I'm your host, Derek Walker. My co-host, Mr. Jimmy Carter. How are you, Jimmy?
Happy May. We're on the doorstep of summer, and this year is going by pretty doggone quick. And I don't know if it's because Trump has everything so stirred up. And, you know, if you look at the news, there is almost no other news except something about Trump. You might get a Mideast story in right now because we've been bombing the Houthis out of Yemen, and I think the Houthis, or what do they call themselves?
The Houthis.
I think they surrendered today and said they don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, right.
So,
well, who would want
so
to?
we bombed them for 24 hours or something like that, and it said that the Yemen airport's disabled, power plants are destroyed. I think we just about, between the Israelis and us, we set bucket buster bombs, everything.
There's not much left.
Quiet that place down. So maybe that'll get off the news, and anybody won't be shooting at, aircraft carriers and stuff like that anymore. So we'll see.
Yeah, there's been a rash of that, but you're right about that. You don't hear a lot. It's a very
everything
small
is
percentage.
Trump. I mean, and that's part of his plan all the time, but it's exhausting.
I agree with you.
It's exhausting to read about. It's exhausting to hear. I think the world is kind of exhausted playing the game.
I think so too. You just said it really well. It's playing the game because everybody's speculating on what he's really doing, right? So that even the news, they're speculating because they don't really know for sure until the whole plan is complete. And then they say, oh, okay, here's what he was doing.
Well, he throws certain things up in the air just, that it's just an idea. I mean, listen, there's no way he even has any knowledge that it would be okay or even possible to restart Alcatraz. I mean, he's never been there, I'm sure.
Right.
I have too. And I've worked up there on a Disney movie thing. So, I mean, I've been there on my own, but I went up there with Disney when they rented the island a couple of days for the movie The Rock.
Oh, I remember that movie. Yeah.
And
that was a great movie.
And we went up there and did all the publicity, and that's my favorite Sean Connery story.
And
that one.
What year was that? Because Alcatraz had been closed for a long time.
Alcatraz quit being a prison in 1963.
Right, it's old. It's old.
1.5 million people go up there a year. It's a national park,
and it's fun.
And so you come in on a boat, and you've got to walk up. But pretty good. It's pretty physical.
Yeah,
because you've got to walk up this hill to get to the top of the rock.
Yeah,
to be able to go into the main area there. And it's just, I mean, when we went out there, Disney rented the whole island, and they cleaned up some area up there to some degree.
Yeah.
And I think they had to have it clean anyway when they shot the movie. A little more, certain areas were more cleaned up than they had been in the past.
Yeah.
And they built a theater in the exercise yard.
Really? How
prisoners exercise. They built a theater just for one day.
Wow.
And built a theater out there, and then turned the upper part where most of the cells were, not the lower part, but the upper part, into where they had the buffet. Like one section was chicken fingers, one section was salad, and all that stuff like that. So it was a party up there. Then we went and watched the movie The Rock,
which was great.
That was my favorite Connery story, because Sean Connery arrives on a boat. All the press is over here behind the velvet rope.
Right.
And he comes in, and he's got his wife and publicist, and he's about 15 yards away or something. He wasn't going to do any media there. We were just there, people with the cameras recording it.
Sure.
And I yelled out, "Mr. Connery," and he recognized me, and he went, "Michelin, that's the guy that gave me the exploding golf ball. Come here.
Oh, right.
And he had me go across the velvet rope, put me on the golf cart with him and his wife and the publicist, and off we went to the top of Alcatraz.
Oh, how great is that?
And he took me, all these places up there, showing me around where they had shot and all that stuff. And then eventually all the other people came up, and talk about jealous.
Oh
You know,
yeah, I
oh
can't imagine.
my
I'm
God.
jealous right now, and I wasn't even there.
And so we eat and we don't see him anymore. He goes off to wherever they took him.
Yeah,
I imagine they prepared some kind of backstage or green room or something.
yeah.
Next thing you know, we're sitting waiting for the movie to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then I hear behind me somebody stomping their feet, like we want the movie to start,
Right,
that
right.
type of thing. And nothing happened. And then I felt a nudge in my back, and it was Connery.
Oh,
He
jeez.
was one. He was the one, and he wanted me to do it, so I had to start doing it. So when I started doing it, it really got loud,
Yeah,
and Michael Eisner and the head of all these other people came out from the back.
yeah.
They want to know what in the hell was going on out there because they weren't ready to start the movie. So they looked, and for some reason, they just trained right on me.
Yeah,
The entire chairman of the board and everybody of Disney saw me, and I pointed behind me.
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
just went like this,
yeah,
and it was Connery. Then he went, oh, and then they said, okay, we're coming, we're coming.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh
Wow, how
Lord,
great
getting in
is
trouble
that,
with
Jimmy?
Sean Connery, but
Ah,
that was just one of several times I had things with him. But
yeah.
that was great.
Yeah,
That
I
was
can't
so
imagine. I
cool.
mean, one, Alcatraz is an iconic location. Two, Sean Connery, who God rest his soul, is gone now, but you
Yeah.
had the opportunity to meet one of the, I don't know, one of the best actors of all time.
Oh, well, I've been
I
with him
thought.
in Scotland. I mean, it's we had gone over there for another movie that he had done,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to Scotland and did it. And I didn't want to go. My daughter Sarah was with me,
Yeah.
and we went up to the top of this castle in Edinburgh, and all the media was up there doing stuff. We didn't want to be with them,
Yeah.
so I said, let's go back to the hotel and have dinner. I don't want to eat whatever they're doing here.
Yeah.
So we went back down, and there was nobody in the restaurant, and they sat us next to Sean Connery and his wife, who were there by themselves. And he recognized me. He said, "How you doing?" And I
That's
didn't want to
so
bother
funny.
him, so we just sat there and ate. And so we just behaved. We didn't garm him or anything
Yeah.
else. And he acknowledged us when they left and everything. And the next day, I'm doing the interviews. My daughter comes in with me. She's like 12 years old and
Yeah.
13
Yeah.
at that point. And she had seen him in the movie and saw him at dinner. And I said, "You mind if she gets your picture with you?" And he said, "Certainly." So he came over because I had given him a shirt we got him at the big, whatever the golf course is called, in the top of Scotland where they
Mhm.
did Goldfinger. I can't remember the name of the golf course now.
Yeah.
Got him something from there, from the British Open where it was going to be, and so he was thrilled about that.
Yeah,
And
for
then
sure.
he took a picture of my daughter, and then we were walking out, and she said to me, "I think he likes me better than you." What a thing to say.
That probably might have been true, Jimmy. I mean, I don't know, but I wasn't there. I have no idea.
Cute little girl, but that was funny.
That's
All
awesome.
right. So beside all of that, and it's just Trump, 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 and Trump with Alcatraz, Trump with everything on every subject. Got the Prime Minister of Canada, the new guy in there, and oh man, he's saying, well, don't ever say never about buying Canada.
Wow. Isn't that
I'm just
wild?
saying, oh my God, and then he wants to put the big tariff on movies, foreign movies.
Yeah.
So that's got Hollywood in it. The Teamsters are thrilled because they are losing a lot of money and jobs and everything else because Hollywood keeps taking their movies and putting them in Georgia, which doesn't hurt anything. But when they go down to Australia to shoot, which
It
they've
hurts.
done
Yeah. It
a
hurts.
lot lately, they go to England, they go to Vancouver, they go to Toronto,
Sure. Yeah.
and it takes Teamster jobs, it takes acting jobs and everything else,
Yeah.
out of the country. So these unions out there in LA is really going down as far as now where they burned the place up, Pacific Palisades,
Right.
and that caused more trouble and people without jobs. So they've got a lot less going on in Hollywood that Hollywood is used to. So Trump, supposedly wants to get in the middle of all of that. And it just goes it's every subject every day, all day. And I'm not
Yeah,
saying whether
you're
it's
right.
right or wrong or anything, but it's just the pace of it.
Yeah.
It's just it's got the country tense.
Well, I mean,
Whether it's the stock market or anything else, the country is, I think it's created a lot of anxiety.
let me ask you something because, I mean, for a while there, it was all about Doge. It was all about Elon. It was all
Yeah,
about
he's
the
gone now.
government overspending and, catching them with their hand in the cookie jar. And, who dictates? I mean, the media has the freedom to cover what they want to cover. So who or what dictates? Is it all about the dollar? Is it about the viewers?
Well, it's just
Is it about the
you're
hits?
taking the news of the day. He
Yeah.
creates news of the day.
He
Here's one.
creates it. Yeah, he
He
does.
creates his own news. Education department to garnish wages on 5 million defaulted student loans.
Wow.
They're going to take the paychecks
That's
of 5 million people.
Yeah, that'll get your
You're going to hear
attention.
some squawking on that pretty soon.
That gets your
And then
attention.
they've told people in advance, I guess they've had a lot of warnings in many cases, so they're not going to warn people anymore.
Yeah.
But if they go into collection phase on some of these people, it's going to cost them 170 something points on their credit score.
Oof.
And that's a
That's
pretty
a
big
lot.
hit on your credit score because credit score usually moves up 2 or 3 points at a time.
Yeah.
And 177 is going to keep people from getting car loans or
Oh yeah.
home loans or
Well, I'll tell you,
or anything.
Without giving away, too much private information, my wife has a way higher credit score than I do, though we've been married for a long time, 30 plus years, right? So how can that even possibly be? Well, I co-signed for one of our kids, and she co-signed for the other one. The child she co-signed for made all his payments, and the one that I co-signed for did not. And so I took on I think it was a late car payment, I took a 60-point hit. But that's half of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Third
half
of what you're talking about.
Yeah, 170. Yeah, so I mean, I thought that was drastic. I was like, 60 points, that's going to, and it took me probably 10 years to get that back.
Yeah, it's bad. I mean, yeah, because there are things that happened to me that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
It happened, and it took me a while to get away from that.
Yeah.
Get a
So
dispute
that's-
with somebody, and once they get you into that system, it is hard to clean it up.
It really
Really
is.
hard
It's a
to clean.
slow
They
cleanup.
got their own little thing.
Yeah.
So,
You got to know the ropes.
but Trump, though, I really do. I think it's got a lot of people. It's certainly all right. If you're on the other side of the political fence,
Mm-hmm.
if you're on the Democratic side, I hear these people even on technical shows
Mm-hmm.
talk about Apple and relocating manufacturing away from China and to India or to the United States, talking about how hard that is to do that technically.
Sure.
That it's more than just building a building. You've got to have certain machinery and people that know what they're doing and all that. And that it's difficult. So
Well, and you just
it's
hit
got
on,
the tech shows, concerned, but but the Democratic people who are the far left-leaning people who are on those shows are acting like, well, in 5 years, this is going to be the end of the world. They
Yeah,
don't think there's going to be
doom
much of a
and
country to save in 4 or 5 years. Well, I certainly hope that's not true.
I do too.
But,
I do too.
But the sad part about that is that you don't hear it's almost like the people on the. I didn't feel this way when somebody on a party that I'm against.
Mm-hmm.
There have been a lot of presidents I haven't, voted for.
Yeah, me too.
My lifetime, but I didn't hope they failed.
Yeah,
I didn't
because it's
hope
our America, right?
It's still the country, I don't want the country to screw
Right.
up just to put a black mark, on theirs. Did I like all the programs they did? No. But generally, I just wasn't rooting for the country to fail. It almost feels like that these folks are rooting. They're expecting the country to fail. And it's like they said, 90-something% of all news stories are negative involving Trump that are coming from the national media.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these people they're certainly not, Republicans. I mean, what you've still got is you've got 20% over here on one side
Mm-hmm.
who are just blithering, insane, almost communist people.
Right.
You've got 20% on this other side, extremely, that Trump is the second coming.
Yeah.
And he can do no
those.
wrong. It doesn't matter what he is. Even if he's wrong, he's not wrong. He can do no wrong.
That's true.
So there's 40% of your people right there.
Right.
And then you've got, 60 in there somewhere that are in between. and that they're leaning left or leaning right. And I think I'm in that middle 60. And I hope if that Doge thing, I hope it's true. If it is true, I just can't believe someone would have a conspiracy to make up all that stuff. Did
It's
they
fascinating.
fudge the numbers? I mean, these look like, when you put all these 10 or 20 people on camera that are these smart, nerds that are finding all this forensic accounting.
Right.
I don't think they make that up.
I
I mean,
don't.
did someone forget to put a decimal somewhere every once in a while
No,
and stuff like that? Maybe,
maybe, but
but not. But yeah, is there a lot of waste and stuff? Of course there is. I see it in Medicare things that come across this desk
yeah,
of things that these folks are trying to charge Medicare, but Medicare that says no, we're not paying it. We're not paying that.
Typical.
And then but I mean, there's a lot, particularly in that world. There is a tremendous amount of fraud and monkey business that goes on in that world, because I'm a little familiar with that world. But
I think for years we've all felt the same thing about government waste. I mean, it's just a machine.
of course, we've heard it all the time.
Yeah,
Every president said it.
Exactly. And so I think when they started to uncover some of this stuff, we said, okay, well, that's incredible, but it's not unbelievable. That's incredible. That's not unbelievable. That's a lot of money. That's unbelievable. What are they doing with our money? And it's very frustrating to hear it. So I had a hard time with that whole thing. With why are you mad about finding this
Fraud and abuse? It was just the whole point of
makes
it
no sense.
is that, and I've heard it again yesterday on something,
Yeah.
that if Donald Trump found the cure for cancer, they'd still be against it.
There would be something he did.
He would not get credit for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I
And that's a
agree.
ridiculous statement, but I've heard it more than once, and I do believe it's true.
Well, I think
and it certainly feels that way anyway.
It makes a point, is what it does. I mean, you and I, you said you like to find yourself in that middle percentage of people, and me too. Someone who's logical, someone who's not closed-minded, someone who can rationalize, and make sense out of things. I think we're both in that category. So, do I love everything he does? No. Do I love everything Clinton did? No. Do I want to see the United States of America, crash and burn? No. No, I don't want to see it under.
But there are things that Trump does that, again, since I'm not in the 20% that thinks he is second coming, here's one that just came up here, a story. Mark Carney, that's the new head of Canada.
Yeah.
He said, I asked President Trump to stop calling Canada the 51st state. Well, I agree with that. I don't think that was wrong.
Okay, yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's his country.
I mean,
right?
so Canada people are very proud.
Yeah.
And they don't want to be here. They don't. What have they done to us? Well, okay, maybe they've had some bad business things or something, or made it hard on us to sell milk or whatever they're accused of doing. But generally, it's been a pretty good neighbor to the north, unless to me it hasn't. And I don't know. I just wish. It seems like sometimes he causes stinks when a stink isn't necessary. But
I don't disagree. I think in Canada's case, I think he's saying, look, we are here, we protect you, or we are part of the protection unit for you. And he throws something like that out there, and then everybody globs onto it. He wants to take over Canada. He wants to buy, and it's like maybe that wasn't the initial intention. I found, we talked about this before, I found that Bill Maher interview really interesting. Regarding who was in the White House and who people think is in the White House. And I think people sometimes misunderstand what he's saying, and he's not clear about what he's saying, so that's on him too. I mean, don't say something like that unless you're meaning it.
Well, it's all part of his plan. He doesn't do anything, just he knows what he's doing. Yeah, and he's trying to get to some place.
Right. There's some kind of antagonistic.
And he's doing it that way in order to, okay, well, I'll stop doing that if you'll do something. We don't. I think we got to get further down the road with this. It's only been
you're right.
100 days.
Yeah.
But if we're the same place we are right now at the 200-day mark,
then we got a
or
problem.
Maybe at the end of summer, first of fall, I think things are not going to be good for them. I mean, they really got to show some stuff.
Yeah.
And I think they might. This next 100 days, if they get the hoochies from cutting up over there, and they could stop that.
Yeah.
He keeps saying there's a big announcement coming this week, whatever that's about.
I don't
Uh,
even, sometimes I think, does he even have an announcement, or is he just saying that to distract us from some other play he's making?
right. I mean, there's
I don't
something,
know.
that, okay, what's it?
Yeah, what's the announcement?
It's
Ooh.
rope-a-dope, like with
Right.
Muhammad Ali,
Right.
he's dipping and diving and
That's true.
all of that.
It's
I
true.
don't know.
It's
It's
true.
just, and then you just wonder what is going on in Congress. They don't seem to be doing anything that we can see.
Yeah, but then
I mean,
again,
maybe they are.
you just said it. I mean, nobody's reporting on any of that. We aren't getting
Doesn't
any
seem to.
information about it. We're not getting any information about any kind of progress or not. It's all about what either Trump said or did today, and it's too bad. I wish we had. That's why I say, who decides what? I mean, I know that news directors decide what hits the top story, but it's always the same. It's always Trump is the top story.
Because but he wants it that way. He's
Okay,
created
fair,
news
yeah.
every day.
That's
He
true. Yeah, that's true.
He has 2 or 3 announcements a day.
And just to
You
get,
know, or executive order or something that's more outrageous than the last thing. You know,
yeah,
and then if that's not going on, it's scaring people to death with Kennedy, doing whatever he's not doing or doing. He's been kind of quiet lately.
Yeah, he has actually.
But it doesn't mean he's not doing anything.
Yeah.
And then here's a statement: Coca-Cola makes $10 billion per year from food stamps.
Well,
And so they're trying to take it where people can't spend their money on food stamps with, for that.
I mean,
now that figure, who knows if that's true?
yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
These figures, these billions and trillions these days, it says Coca-Cola gets between 5 and 20% of their annual revenue from, that kind of thing. I don't know if that's true. The thing about it is you see things on the internet and you don't know what to believe.
No.
I just happened to read this. I don't trust the source of that.
Yeah, but
I don't trust the source of almost everything these days. And that's one thing, you see something, so I don't know.
No, you're right on the money for that. And regarding Coke and those kinds of things, and I see what they're trying to do there. I see they're trying to say, okay, well, if this food's not good for you, should you be able to buy it with? But then I think about the kids and the if you're strapped for cash and there's a treat you want to get them and you can't afford to get it. I get all that, all those arguments. I think generally I like the idea that you buy wholesome stuff with food stamps. But I feel like there should be a percentage that you could buy some junk food with just because, I don't know, bring somebody happiness or joy or something.
I know, that's what I was thinking too.
I don't know. I mean, a piece of cake once in a while.
But you just wonder, how did we get so screwed up?
Yeah, you do. I wonder every day.
Really. I mean, I'm not even, the Coke is, we're all, I quit drinking sweet tea and it helped my medical situation.
Yeah.
So, and I'm from the South and we live off sweet tea.
Yeah.
And I haven't had a glass of sweet tea in well over a year, and it's certainly been extremely helpful. I'm still drinking carbonated Cokes, which I know those are bad, but I'm not drinking them all. I'm drinking unsweet tea.
Do you miss the tea? Do you miss the sweet tea?
I can live without it.
Okay,
as long as I can have my Coke in the morning, because I don't drink coffee.
Yeah.
And I drink half of a carbonated Coke.
Yeah. Okay.
Which isn't the same as drinking, the bottled Coke or the canned Coke. It's watered down, diluted.
Yeah, for sure.
But I look at stuff like, our air traffic control system.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world did we let that thing get so antiquated and screwed up?
Yeah, I don't know.
And somebody just didn't say stop, and we need to fix this, we need to fix that. And I just don't understand why no one pulled the stop button at some point, since they modernized whenever in the 60s or whenever they went to computers and stuff.
I agree with you 100%. And I think that is the whole problem with our entire country right now, is everything got so spread so thin. We talk about the roads getting fixed. We talk about air traffic. We talk about
But how did we let
border.
for example,
I don't know.
This country was built on and built the expansion with everything with the railroad.
Yeah.
With
yeah,
trains.
It sure was. Yeah, it sure was.
And we still got a very healthy train system that's out there, that works every day. In fact, I started a website that I found.
Yeah.
And actually I watch it all the time. It's called rail fan.
Okay, and what do you get on
And
that?
I got nine cameras up here where I'm watching trains in different parts of the country.
You just
Whether
reminded
it's
me. You just reminded me. You remember Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, right?
yeah,
John McEwen and those guys.
yeah,
We once had John McEwen in our boat, and we sat out in the middle of this lake. You know where we used to live, and we
yeah.
got something like 60 trains a day. And John was
That's true.
he was supposed to be on stage, and he said, "No, sit here. I want to see a train." You said it'll be here in 15 minutes. I said, "Yeah, every 15 minutes. Sit right here." And we heard them announce it was a lakeside venue, that Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, and he sat there in the boat, and he said, "No, wait." And then the train came, and he just wanted to see it going across the water. And he took a couple pictures, and he goes, "Okay, take me back to the concert." So I don't even know. I didn't go to the show, but I don't know if he was late or what. But he wanted to see that train cross the water. It's fascinating.
There's a channel on YouTube,
Yeah.
several now, that have airport things going all over the place. You can watch LAX every day.
I love
In
watching
the morning or
planes
the
land.
afternoon
Yeah,
or
I'd
whatever,
watch that.
watching jets take off. It's on YouTube right now.
Yeah.
LA flights and LA something other.
Live?
Well, this is the train version, live.
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah, I'd watch
And
that.
if you've got a thing called Flight Aware, the app,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually look on there and see where the plane's going and who it is and what kind of plane it is and follow after taking off. But on the trains, you can do that. You can't really follow them,
Yeah.
but you can watch them come through. And some towns get a hell of a lot of trains
Yeah.
going.
Well, like where we were.
Like yours, that's
yeah.
an east-west route to the north.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's any cameras up that way, but these are HD cameras
Wow.
that are in these places, and
Fascinating.
it is crazy.
No, so you
So
say with
but see, that's mindless stuff. You can watch that, and I tell you, a show that I watched it. You got to escape all this Trump stuff and all this a lot. I think people have to really get out there and do something. So whether it's model trains, which a number of stars build model trains,
yeah.
or just watch trains or take pictures of trains,
Yeah.
or do the airplane thing and watch airplanes or whatever it is. It's just you're getting your mind away from, people who are sick or in nursing homes or any
You're
of the
right.
crazy
I mean,
things that
you're
might
right.
be in your life.
Yeah.
And it just is something you got to do. Now, TV, I've my buddy who's listening to this podcast,
Yeah.
finally this week got in a situation where he could get Paramount Plus.
I still
So
don't
he's
have it. I
watched
still don't.
1923, and he's watching Lioness now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I can't remember what else he's gonna. He's gonna watch Tulsa King.
Mhm.
I started watching a show, Mobland.
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah.
I didn't like
watched
it.
but-
I watched the first of it a little
yeah.
bit,
Yeah, yeah.
and it wasn't happening for me really.
Mm-hmm.
But I tried, and I watched a little bit more, and then dadgummit, I let it do the tease of the opening second episode.
yeah.
I started, okay, I get this. I understand. And I put on closed caption
Yeah.
because it's a lot of British stuff going on there. And man, all of a sudden, I can't wait to get the next episode.
So I've always said
Mobland,
this.
I highly recommend it, but it's like so many of these series,
Yeah.
you have to hold your stomach and get through the first episode. For some reason, the first episodes don't do anything for you, and then all of a sudden you're addicted.
Okay, so you're right. I have always used the formula of 3 episodes.
Oh, that's a lot.
But
That's a lot.
but it depends what it is. I mean, for example, Ozark, I got in the first episode. But when it's something down, that doesn't quite interest me, I still give it 2 or 3 episodes, especially if somebody like you said, "Oh, Mobland is good." Then I'll say, "Okay, I'll watch, 3 episodes. If I'm not into it by the end of that, it's done. I'm not
3
watching
is a
it."
long commitment. I mean, I would think mostly if you can't do it by 1.5, you probably can go.
You gotta give it a chance to. I
You
think
got to give it a chance, at least an episode.
I
though.
think they write these out longer, like a movie is 90
They
minutes. Or
do. I
whatever.
mean, I used to do this. We did
Yeah.
television shows this
Yeah.
way. We would get 3x5 cards, different colors in some cases, or just in big marker, and put on there, car blows up.
Yeah,
Okay, that's over here. And you can do it with your big things that are going to happen
Yeah,
on an
I got you.
episode or in the season, the story arc for the
Yeah,
year,
yeah,
if you're going to do one that long.
yeah,
And sometimes when you're pitching it, you need to give them a story arc
yeah,
for 2 or 3 years,
yeah. That's
and then
interesting.
you can figure out what's going after that. But you write it all up, and you do these little cards. You build it like a train
Mm-hmm.
and show it and say,
Fascinating.
okay,
Yeah,
this is how we're going to do the ending. All right, these are the big plot points for the ending, the beginning, and in the middle. And
mm-hmm.
you can see it where Taylor Sheridan's doing that on his shows. Some of these shows, there may be 10 episodes. Episode number 7, that maybe 4.5, finally gets to do something after he's wasted your time
Yeah.
on episode 3
Right. That's
and
what I'm saying. Yeah.
episode 8. It just like 1923 was one of those.
Slow.
Sometimes in an hour and 10, 15-minute show, almost nothing happened.
Yeah.
Nothing that moved the dial
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to where you're trying to go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
that used
fascinating.
to really irritate me when that happened.
Yeah, it
But
does me too. Yeah, it does me too.
Mobland is very good.
Okay.
It's on Paramount Plus. I'm not the biggest Pierce Brosnan fan in the world, but I grew to like him as Bond eventually.
Yeah.
And this has got this Tom Hardy guy that people seem to love.
Yeah, I like
And,
him. He's fun. Yeah,
but I like him too.
Yeah.
I did watch a movie called Havoc,
Havoc.
and I'd never seen a movie like that before. It's the category that it's in is ultra violent.
Okay.
It's when you shoot somebody and the blood goes out of their body in slow motion.
Ooh, I've not seen
like
that
that.
before. I've not seen
Like
that.
it really is ultra violent.
Let me ask you, since you said ultraviolent, I watched a movie you hated, and I knew it going in, and somebody was visiting wanted to watch it, and I said, okay, but I know it's not going to be good, but okay, we'll watch it. Civil War.
Oh,
It was awfully violent. Now, I don't know if you would call it ultra-violent, but it was...
no. It
Okay,
wasn't
okay, so
ultra-violent.
this is even more than that.
Ultra-violent is just Havoc. I mean, doing shooting. Oh, here's an example of ultra-violence in Havoc. They're having a shootout, and this guy has a pistol, and he shoots it. Boom, 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 boom. There's no pistol made that has that
A lot
many
of
shots.
bullets. Yeah, right.
But it doesn't matter. It's like an unlimited number as long as
Supply.
he's shooting.
Okay.
That's ultra violence. So it's just a ridiculous number of gunfire shots and
Okay.
just stuff like that.
I'll watch it when my wife's out of town.
Yeah.
She
No.
wouldn't like it.
I didn't like it though. I just
Okay.
thought it was stupid. But
Yeah.
I made it through the movie. But Havoc,
Havoc. Okay. Extreme, huh? I'll
it
pass.
wasn't a terrible story, but it was just ridiculous. I mean, I liked my violence and stuff, but it needs to be sort of
realistic.
possible. It's like there's going to be a Beekeeper 2.
Did you see
And I
one?
paid to watch Beekeeper 1.
Yeah.
And, it's
Wasn't bad.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. He's like Superman or
Yeah,
something.
he is. He is.
But I like him.
Yeah.
And I like to watch him do all that stuff.
Well, it's like
They're
Tom.
going to do 50.
Yeah, it's like Mission Impossible. I mean, that stuff is pretty far fetched to the most part. I mean,
Yeah.
sort of. I mean, I don't know.
And that's
It's still-
coming. I mean, well, he's sort of doing a lot of that, but it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah. There's a new one
That's
coming.
why
yeah.
that's why he does so many of his own stunt, maybe all of them.
Yeah.
Because he wants you to believe somebody can do it because he's doing it.
Yeah, they're crazy though. He's crazy.
That's coming out May 23rd, so that's coming out
Yeah.
real soon. The theaters, they got some hope.
Gosh, I thought
they've
they
been
were
on
done.
life
I really
support.
did thought they were done. I did, and they're still hanging in there. In fact, I know people now that go once a week as a date.
Well,
Date
good.
night,
If there's
you know.
enough product out there, which
Yeah.
now there's coming with Mission Impossible and then Jurassic World, and there's several things that
Yeah.
are going to be out there for this Thunderbolts movie was surprisingly good.
Yeah, I didn't see it, but
People liked it.
I'd like to.
it
Yeah,
got an A- in
Yeah.
Cinema Score, so
that's pretty
that
good.
was good for
Yeah.
it.
Fascinating stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to look at the writing side of things. Like you were talking about the story arc. I never even thought about that before. But as you watch them, you can see kind of if you build that in your mind, you can see what they're doing. Maybe that's why these movies or these series take a while to get going. I don't know, but yeah, I'll watch Mobland for sure. And,
Yeah, Mobland is that way. But it's just very interesting to see what's they're going to do the NFL draft in Washington in 2027. That'll be a big deal. Why that's a big deal, I watched a lot of it. I don't know why.
I don't either. It was on the network, and I just stumbled
Maybe it's
across
just a lack
it.
of anything else, to do.
Yeah, I guess.
But anyway, that's going to be a big deal. Next year they're doing the soccer World Cup.
Yeah.
It's like 75 different games, which are as big as the Super Bowl around the world.
Yeah, it's got a lot of fans.
So millions of people are coming to the United States for that. So they had a big news conference on that today.
Mm-hmm.
And,
other than that, it's all Trump and that kind of thing.
And that was Trump.
That was
Trump.
Right.
They had at the White House. They were there. Kristi Noem and all of them. They made a big deal out of it.
Well,
since Bill Clinton deported 12 million illegals during his presidency, 93% without due process hearings.
And how much did we hear about that?
Are those facts correct?
I don't know.
A pro-Trump group sues Chief Justice. There's just so much crazy, nutty stuff going on.
Well, I'll tell you one thing I learned. Well, I didn't learn it. I'll just pass it on. If you get a chance to go to Alcatraz and you're in the Bay Area of San Francisco, go on the tour. It's fascinating.
Yeah, the fact that
it's great.
They never had an escape.
Yeah.
And I've been up there a couple different times to shoot stories and things. Man, when that fog rolls in out there.
It's eerie, isn't it? It
is eerie, but it's awful. I mean, it is so damp.
Anything, yeah.
It is so damp and dank out there.
It's gross.
And I can't imagine. Prison's depressing enough, but to be damp out there.
Stuck on that island, knowing you can't go if you had to. No, but it's fascinating. Go. It won't be as good as Jimmy's experience with Sean Connery, but it'll still be good. I mean, that's bucket list, Jimmy. Come on.
I love San Francisco. I mean, I still, with all its troubles.
Yeah,
I haven't been in a long time, but my memories of San Francisco are all good. Yeah. I just know that if you are a tourist and you do anything stupid, it might come back at you because there are a lot of petty thieves in that town.
Yeah.
And they will break into your car if they see something and they'll steal it.
Oh, yeah.
And nobody will do anything about it. Cops won't even.
No, they don't have time for that.
So, you just can't put yourself in a position where you can get in trouble. And I worry about that from people all the time. Again, as you kids get out and your college kids and others get out to play this summer and go to Nashville and places like that where there are bars, there are increasing numbers. And again, they don't cover it because the police kind of cover it up and the cities cover it up. People putting in things in people's drinks.
Yeah.
Roofie type things. There have been several instances of it lately. And you've got to, you just, number one, can't go to these places by yourself.
Yeah, I think wingman's good advice.
You've got to have a wingman, and that's not just for girls, but for guys too.
Yeah, I agree.
In fact, the last two people to disappear, one found in the river, one found roaming around in a field in a suburb of Nashville, were college guys.
Fascinating.
And all had been left by their wingman, and one of them died, and one of them got rolled. He lost his watch, he lost his billfold, he lost everything, and a phone. And he was found just wandering around in a field 36 hours after he was left.
What the heck? I heard nothing about that.
They covered it up. I mean, they don't want to promote it. Yeah. It was getting ready to break when he was discovered. It was getting ready to get huge, and then he turned up. But and there are others that there's things that go on in these cities, these tourist towns. That are not good. So you got to be careful out there everywhere you go. No doubt about it.
Well, Jimmy, always a pleasure, as is today. And folks, if you're listening and you enjoyed what you heard, tell a friend. And until next time on Sweeping the Country, I'm Derek Walker. He is.
And I'm Jimmy Carter.
Good day.